Hey guys, Andy from MCC Just Motos. In the dead of winter of Maryland, I have not stopped motorcycling. I've done some big changes to my Royal Enfield Himalayan, mostly in the suspension department. I went full Öhlins. Let's get into it. I'll talk right about it. Welcome to MCC Just Motos. As a lot of you know, I own one of the world's quickest and fastest Royal Enfield Himalayans, air-cooled. I'm estimating it makes about 40 crank horsepower, but that's not what I'm talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about suspension and tires. I made this bike serve two different purposes. I want to go full off-road, bonkers, ADV, off-road capability, and I did that, but I also want to be able to go more adventure travel, adventure touring, with more on the touring side of the house. And how I did that is a couple of ways. The first thing is I went with different wheels and tire sets. I bought an extra set of tire sets here. I have my Tusk D-Sport, which we'll get into in a little bit. That's for my off-road adventure. And then I have my Kenda 54H. I can't remember. I'll put the exact Kendas that they are, but they are on-road oriented. I'm definitely under the opinion that if you go off-road, you want to have big blocky tires. And if you want to go on-road, you have 90 or 100% on-road tires. Really, the biggest thing is if you're going off-road in any sand or muddy situation, you need those big blocky tires. Anything else is just not good. Now, on-road, those big blocky tires can be okay, but they wear out really easy, so you want an on-road set of tires that will wear long and handle very well, and that's what I did. I'll show you the tires here in a bit. But today, what I'm really talking about is my suspension. Probably the biggest flaw in my Himalayan, what I've had so far, now that I have the power, I have the comfort and all that set up, is the suspension. It's just set up for very low speed travel. Anything high speed, it just gets really out of sorts. And I'm going to talk about linear and progressive suspension. So the first thing that I did, and the first mod I did, changed out my shocks. This is a stock rear shock, and I'm going to show you what the shock that I went with. I went with the Öhlins RE907 is what the part number is. Now this shock is what's called progressive. It has tight coils up front and then less tight here, with just dampening or preload adjustment down here. Not great, really bouncy and not great. The Öhlins that you'll see has a straight linear progression, doesn't have a progressive suspension coil, but they are much thicker coils and much more controllability with rebound and compression adjustments that I'll show you all about. So it's much better suited for the bike and is much more controlled. What I found when I adjusted the rear suspension, the rear was good and it didn't bounce out of sorts, but the front was out of balance. The front is wallowy and you couldn't go fast, and it was definitely a mismatch between the front and the rear. So for this Christmas, my wife got me a new front suspension. It's FSK 144 and it's comprised of new spring sets. Now, just like old suspension, the old suspension was linear in the front, but the new Öhlins is progressive like this, the tight coils, and it makes a world of difference. I'm gonna show it to you and tell you it is adjustable for compression on both sides. Let's take a look. Taking a look, you really can't tell, but it really made the bike super balanced. When you have the front suspension and the rear suspension, it's definitely balanced. Plus, I think the compression ratio was 30 on stock, and this is 60 on these Öhlins. But you can see you can adjust the preload right there. That's what it is. Just the preloads right there. So that's what it is. Now let's take a look at the rear suspension. You can see it's a much thicker spring. Sorry, it's dirty. It is winter and cold. And there's your remote preload. This is a fine-tuned preload adjustment, but you do have adjustments way down there that you can get for compression and preload. Here are my Kendas on-road tires, maybe a 90-10. Good tire. There's the front. Here are my D-Sport, my Tusk D-Sports. You can see the big blocky tires. They do great off-road. Part of my philosophy was I wanted a quick change, so you can see I bought a whole new set of tires, whole new set of wheels, And lastly, one more thing I'm going to show you here. Now, one last mod that I did is on the off-road tires, I changed the gearing. I changed the gearing on both sets of tires, on the wheels and tires. But for the off-road sets of tires, I went with a high torque power setting to take advantage of the power and the torque. So that means a front sprocket, which goes right here, which is smaller than stock, so less teeth than stock. It's a 14 tooth front sprocket, and more teeth in the rear. And that goes back here. So that's a bigger sprocket than the rear and a smaller in the front. What this does, it gives it a higher, quicker acceleration to go over logs, trees, mud, bogs, that kind of stuff. And you can jump over stuff wheelie easier, but it also means you rev out a lot quicker and you have a lower top speed, less miles per gallon, and just a higher rev all the time. Conversely, what I did is for my on-road tire set, for my Kendas, I have a stock is 15, this is 14, but for my on-road, I have a 16 tooth front sprocket and a stock 38 rear. What that does, it drops me about 700 to 800 RPM, depending on the speed, for any given speed. The higher speed you go, the more it drops relative to a stock RPM for that speed. Also means I have a higher top speed, better miles per gallon, and because I don't have to shift to 60 miles an hour, I actually get a quicker 0 to 60 miles per hour with the different gearing set. All right, as the sun is setting, I just really wanted to say, so really I wanted to focus on the suspension today, the Öhlins front and rear. I got just a little bit of seat time. It's definitely more balanced, it's more cushy, it's more controlled, it's more comfortable. I don't know how it is on road yet, but it seems definitely balanced and equal. So before, when I had just the Öhlins in the rear and the stock front, the front would sag more than the rear, and it just felt unbalanced is the best way I can put it, going over road imperfections. And now with both of them on, it feels really, really balanced. I can't wait to get some really good seat time when the weather clears up a little bit. All right, what comments do you have? What questions do you want to know about this Öhlins suspension or about my dual capability on-road, off-road Himalayan? I'm really excited to get going. I will keep working on my Himalayan. I have a few more tweaks I want to do. Guys, if you haven't already figured out, I do all things motorcycle. If you haven't already thought about it, I ask you to join my Patreon channel or my premium team membership on YouTube. You get all sorts of behind the scenes content, lots of swag and lots of goodies. So please consider that. But more than anything, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode.